All right, so we're joined by Harry Aaronson today, Cornwall player. You'd been playing back at Moortown Rugby Union after a good few years playing Championship and Champ 1. And you, because of your work situation, you felt there might be a chance you could make it work down there. Yeah. So we got in touch with the club, didn't we? Yeah. Had some good conversations with Neil and Beachy, who are great, aren't they? Yeah. They run it really well. And then, within a matter of weeks, you were probably down there. the first big signing. Yeah. From outside of their area. They got one or the two in the pipeline, and a couple who would move down there and
couple of the Northern lads had already signed to move down there and had sorted the houses out down there. Like you said, just with work, it wasn't really possible to move there just yet. But I spoke with Neil and Beachy, and it just seemed to work with how I was going to get down there. With the working Monday to Thursday with work, it was just ideal to go down on a Friday for the games and come back either Sunday or early Monday. Yeah, and it's a bit of red carpet treatment, isn't it? Because we're talking a League One rugby side that actually put you on a flight. Yeah, fly you down. How does that feel? Did it make you feel like a bit? Yes, this is good treatment. You know, rather than working out who's going to drive across the M62 and splitting the petrol money. Yeah, it was, especially the first two times where it was just me doing it. I think they kind of used me as a tester or a bit of a guinea pig just to see if it was something that they would be able to do with other players. And I think the first time I turned up to Manchester Airport 3 hours early because I'd heard about all the queues, and I walked through security in about 15 minutes. So I was sat there for 3 hours, and then the flight got delayed, so I was sat there for another hour. But it just seemed to work, and I think if you look at it, I mean, during the summer times when it's peak season, obviously the flights are a lot more expensive, but in the April time, the May time, the flights aren't actually too expensive. I think it costs 70 or 80 quid return, and with fuel at the moment and the price that it costs to fill your tanks up, I think driving down is about 140, 150 quid. So for the club, it actually made sense earlier in the year. I think now, like I said, with peak season and people travelling down for holidays, it's getting a bit more expensive, but early in the season it seemed to make sense, and that's why a couple, you see a few more lads jump on. At the start it was just me doing it, and then two more lads, Aaron Jones-Bishop and Nathan Conroy, jumped on, and now I think they weren't actually able to fly the lads down this week because I think there was 8 or 9 of them. So I think they put the foot down there. But
do you put on a nice minibus for you all as well?
I actually drove down this week because I fancied a bit of travelling with my missus, so fancied a bit of explore. So I drove down this week with her. But yeah, the lads had a 7-seater minibus and a taxi driver down this week. I think the taxi driver was loving it. He said he wanted to drive the lads down. He came on the pitch before the game doing the team talk, and he was in the team huddle. So the lads were having a bit of a laugh about that. But brilliant. Yeah, it seems to be good, and all the lads who were there, it's a good team atmosphere and camaraderie. I think you create that when you've got lads coming down like that. In that way.
And I've touched on it before from conversations with Neil. Because he's been in the game so long, and he's aware, probably more so than a lot of the lads, how big a thing this is, a brand new club in rugby with plans to not just have a couple of years and see how it goes and then we'll never hear of him again. This is, the foundations are there that Cornwall will be around for a long time, and their plan is to develop and become, get into the Championship and then who knows where. Yeah. And this year has been a teething year to like you say, you were almost a bit of a guinea pig. And even from the back of you and the positive word of mouth, it made even myself think, right, this is a really good option for some lads, whether they're not getting game time or whether they actually just want the chance to live somewhere different and experience it different. And they know that going into next year, they can't fly 8 lads down. They can't send a minibus down. They need to get more lads who are able to move down there and live there. Not just for costs, but also, talk to us about training. I'm sure that some sessions there's been really low on numbers because so many come just at the weekend, and it's about being able to get a core of a squad down there so the quality of training can be better and preparation for match days can be better.
And I think that's the plan long term, is to get most of the lads down there and only have a couple who come down. And I think we're at the stage now in the season where obviously with most northern teams will make signings mid-season and not really much will be thought about it, because you can go from a championship Yorkshire club to a League One Yorkshire club and you can just travel in an extra couple of miles or a couple of miles less. Whereas here, if we're making a mid-season signing, it's a lot to ask a lad to move mid-season to move down. It might not be possible for various reasons. So if we're making mid-season signings, it's usually lad will have to travel down this season and then maybe look to move down the season after. But I think with training, from what I've spoken to the lads, training's been good throughout. They've had 15 plus lads every session. They've been doing different sessions. Like I know they've been in the sea and training on the beach on Mondays, which is something that I've not missed. But they've been mixing it up. I know because there's a lot of lads who obviously are Cornish and who are looking for the next couple of years to start playing. I think if it's your first year of professional rugby and you're looking to play every week, it's probably not going to happen. It takes years and years for you to build up enough confidence and build up that experience to be playing every week. And a lot of the Cornish lads know that, so they're working hard at training and they're being dipped in and out. Neil's playing them some weeks, then pulling them back others, and then he's choosing some northern experience for some weeks and then pulling them out for others. So
because most of the Cornish lads are rugby union background, aren't they? And if you had the Rugby League club down, so is it a bit of a 50-50 Rugby League and rugby union lads who are still trying to learn the 30-man code?
Yeah, definitely, and you can tell as well. I think the union lads, obviously very athletic, but within the league environment, that they're just learning the different, like how to play the game, especially in the lower leagues. When you play a team like Doncaster, like we did on the weekend, or Hunslet, they've got the players who know how to slow down the ruck and they know how far they can push the referees. Whereas a lot of our lads, the referee says move and they're moving straight away.
They're being too honest.
They've not got that experience within the league to hold on that extra second, and it takes time. I think there's obviously potential there. There's a couple of the Cornish lads. One of the lads who plays on the wing, Declan. I think he's played a bit of league down there, but nothing. He's lived in Cornwall all his life, and he's been playing every week. I think he's someone at the start of the season. You could see how raw he was. Obviously a big lad, but he needed just a bit of experience and some coaching, and now I think he's probably one of our most improved players. And you could say that about a couple of them as well. A couple of them haven't worked, obviously, and I think you'll get that with some lads anyway. If you're signing, if northern teams are signing some lads on trial, sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it does. We were just obviously in a position where we had to sign a squad, and then some of them wouldn't work, and some of them obviously you'd look to sign longer term. So that's where we are now. And I think we signed a lad a couple of weeks ago, a Cornish lad called Brad Howe. He played his first game of Rugby League against Hunslet. First game of Rugby League, he'd only signed a week before. So I don't know how nervous he must have been just walking straight in. But for a lad who's never played before, I was amazed. He was really good. And I think he'll be in our squad going forward this year. And I think he's signed next year as well. So the talent's there. It's just about getting them more experience.
And I think it's important to say it's easy to look at how you become more competitive as the season's gone on. And yes, there's an element of that. There has been a few more reinforcements from up north and experienced rugby league players. But credit to Neil and the coaching staff. That, like you say, it's not just because of that. It's because these raw lads, even the rugby league lads who had never played at this level, and the rugby union lads, the development that they've had, they're getting better every week.
Yeah.
And then you put in a few experienced lads. The result at the weekend, you know, on paper, 44-10.
Yeah.
It looks, there's still a way off. But you lost a man early on. You played 12 men with for most of that game, and the results for weeks before. You are already totally different side to where you were at the start of the year. At the start of the year, it was almost like, let's try not to lose by more than 50. Yeah. Whereas now, it's like when Hunslet come, spoke to you and the other lads, there's a real belief that we can actually have a serious goal like you did. Yeah. So this, you know, the development is excellent, isn't it? And ultimately, that's why the management knew that they needed to make a few changes because they wanted to compete more, and they didn't want it just to be about, well, we've got the West Wales game and the Scholars game, which we might be in. It's about competing with that middle where, you know, the Midlands and Scholars, to be fair, as well, and even having a go at Hunslet and Donny and Oldham and those teams. So
and I think you can see from the start of the year, when we played that first game against North Wales, I think we lost 62-20, something like that. And obviously at the time it was the first game the lads were pretty happy with, because we nearly came back in that game as well. And then obviously we've improved slightly. I think the only two games where we were really disappointed was the Midlands home game, because that first half, I think it was 40-0 to them, and we weren't. That first half was pretty poor from us, and then the second half we drew with them. Yeah. So it just shows if we'd have done that in the first half, we probably could have put a performance against them. And then West Wales, where we at home again, where we lost, which I think we just turned up with the wrong attitude. But the rest of the time, I think you look through. So obviously from that first game against North Wales, obviously losing by 40, and then we were obviously reducing the deficit. We got to nearly beating Scholars a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. I think on another day with some other circumstances, we would have beaten them, and then obviously getting our first win, then challenging Hunslet. Yeah. And we were 12-0 up against Hunslet, and I think they had to really put themselves into gear. Yeah. And then this at the weekend, I think it was 6-6, and then we went down to 12. And in the second half with 12 men, we conceded 2 tries, which I think most teams in this league with 12 men in that weather against a good Doncaster team.
Yeah, and Donny are firing as well, aren't we? You know, fair play to them. But you've played them at arguably a tough time, because they'd finally to get players back on the pitch. And and let's turn our attention a bit to how that league's shaping up. Sadly, doesn't look like you boys will be in the playoffs this time round, but
not this year.
I think it's a real. We know we talk about the Championship a lot, and you know it's hard to look past a 2-horse race there. Yeah. For many people, even looking past Lee now. But in League One, we've talked about Keighley and what they've been doing, and certainly what they're doing off the field, and they're very much, you know, looking like a Championship team playing in League One at the moment. But beyond that, we're talking Swinton, North Wales, Doncaster, Hunslet, Rochdale, and even Oldham and Midlands are probably a little bit far off now, but they can still beat teams out of that group. How do you feel that playoffs is shaping up, and who do you think is the best of the rest?
Yeah, it looks really good, and I think obviously with Keighley and how they're going at the moment, obviously having played there, I've seen, and I'm still in contact with a lot of their players and the people behind the scenes, and the atmosphere there and the team environment just seems to be off the chart at the moment. They're the example of a club who are just running it right at the moment. And obviously I know they've got a bit of money that they're throwing at it, but when I was there, I think it was 3 years ago, we were getting crowds of about 600 to 800 respectively, which it's still decent for the league. But from when the owners have come in, I've been looking at their, you know, the last couple of weeks and their attendances. You know, they had 2,000 a couple of weeks ago. They had 1,900 against West Wales. Yeah. To turn that to I think we only had 500-600 when I played for them against West Wales, and it's a credit to what they've done and come in, and you see the results on the pitch, you know, and with the players they're signing now, that's been a success there, and they're winning their games, and I think they're 11 from 11 or 12 from 12 now. So that's full credit to them. The rest of the league, it's tight. It's really tight. I think North Wales at the start of the year, you probably could have said they could have finished top. But over the past couple of weeks, they've fallen away slightly. But I still think they're a top team. I think Anthony Murray, who's their coach, he's been with that team and coached the same sort of players for the past 3-4 seasons. So they'll have bought into him a lot. So when he's leading them in towards the finals and the playoffs, I think they'll really buy in, so that they could be a contender to go up.
And we should say here that North Wales, I'm sure what man is saying, that they don't have any players on salaries.
Yeah.
They're all pay-as-you-play players.
Yeah.
They're all from the northwest area.
Yeah.
A lot of them might have been released by one of the local Super League clubs, and they've got a very clear model that they do, and it's about development and coaching. And they top 4 last year, and the year before I think were right up there as well. So they know they're up against it in terms of expenditure, but it just shows how important that the coaching side and the development and the team spirit and keeping, we talk about Batley and how they have managed to overachieve, for want of a better term, by having that core of the team together and that togetherness and playing with your mates and so many clubs. The nature of the game is every year we could be talking up to 10 players gone and a new 10 coming in, and that's North Wales' secret weapon, isn't it? Really, going a bit under the radar and getting the best out of what they've got. They play a lot to their structures. They believe in their structures and their coaching. And you can see that with where they are. Like you said, they're not spending massive amounts of money on their players, but that team has been together for the past 3-4 seasons. They've obviously got new lads coming in and a few younger lads, which I think you do need anyway to improve them. But even them, the younger lads, and I think also with North Wales, they turn to the community game a lot. They're picking up people from your Thatto Heaths, your Lee Miners Rangers, and turning those lads into people who are League One standard. Which is similar to what Swinton did a couple of years ago. When I was there, when they picked up Matty Ashton and Frankie Alton, who are now obviously playing Super League. It's a model that the lower clubs, some lower clubs do it, but I don't think enough do it. I think there's a lot of lads in the NCL. Whether it's the Premier, even one or two, there's lads in there who could easily come into League One and with a bit of coaching, and obviously it's down to the lads. They've got to put their minds to it, and the switch from being an amateur and playing on a Saturday and probably going out the night before is probably a bit different to playing League One. But if they put their mind to it, you've seen it, like I said, with Matty Ashton and Frankie, that they can become top players even just by being signed from no contract from an amateur team. And you're right, and I think that I really enjoy League One because you do have that. You have these hidden gems who might have decided to, I will give it a go. Because like you say, a lot of lads, I think you could put 2 teams together from lads who play in the NCL and they would be right up there. There's enough quality in those divisions, isn't there? But for a lot of lads, the extra commitment of the extra training night a week and the extra professionalism, if you like, it's not for everybody. But we've got a player, Owen Restall at Oldham, who for a while had said, no, he's a teacher, he's got a lot of commitments off the field, and he'd hung back. And this year he thought, I'm going to go for it. And I think he's pretty much top try scorer in the division, absolutely killing it at Oldham. And it's great to see those success stories because once we've given it a go, 2 great examples you've given, the top teams do look at that division. They look at the Championship, obviously, but they also look at that division because they know it's more of a development league. And it's great. We talked the other week about Rochdale looking next year to become to probably recruit younger and to develop players. And I know if the 210s come in and the 3rd tier is going to be unfunded and there's a lot of stress and drama around that, the plus side of that will be that they probably have to look at that more rather than putting a lot of their money into a player who's played 100 Championship games to have that experience. It's getting the balance between a few of those players, not too dissimilar to Cornwall, and bringing on and trying to find those lads who are playing in the amateur game, but they believe can really handle the step up.
And it's something that Cornwall, it's an issue that we had towards the start of the year. I think we had a lot of lads come in from the amateur game, and some of them obviously were still used to that amateur environment. And I think we spoke about that at West Wales when obviously we lost at home. We just said, look, at the end of the day, you're not playing with your local Cornish team now or your local rugby union team. You've got to be doing your extras, you've got to be doing your gym sessions, and it showed on the pitch when we lost because we just got out-muscled and they just kept rolling us. And then you fast forward, 2 months later when we beat them, I think the team wasn't too dissimilar. We had a couple of extra lads in, but we had a couple of people missing as well. And we ended up turning them over at their place. I think you can tell the difference in the change in attitude, and now playing the northern teams is about that shift again and just saying, look, we can turn these over. So let's just focus on that and not get ahead of ourselves. I think we had the chance with Hunslet, we went 12-0 up, and I think we just got a bit too excited. But it'll come. I've got confidence that it'll come, and I think the rest of the team does. Yeah,
and it is. I know it's for fans of championship teams, especially. They understandably expect a lot from the players. The semi-pro players, they're wearing a shirt of a club they might have supported for 30 years and put all their disposable income into following home and away and buying a shirt. And there's a lot on the line, and their expectations are high. But it isn't easy as a part-time rugby player. We've got lads who get up at 4 a.m. to do a day's work, and as soon as they're finished, they're driving to training, and they'll be straight in the gym. They'll be straight on the field, and they're getting home at 10 o'clock at night to get home and have 5 hours sleep before they're getting up to do it all again. And yes, it's lovely, and the lads enjoy it. You enjoy being an elite rugby player, but it doesn't go without a lot of sacrifices. You're giving up your weekends, travelling, obviously an extreme case of travelling. But it's one of the big challenges for coaches and clubs is to keep the motivation of those players who they're not earning big money. They're not. It's not life-changing amounts of money. It's something they love doing, and to keep players motivated and to create that positive environment, especially teams who are losing. And that's what. With respect to Cornwall, that it was all about people buying into the process and enjoying it and trust the process, and results will come and you'll get your reward.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I had a joke with a couple of lads on the weekend because I've just moved house about a month ago, and I don't think I've spent a weekend there because I'm constantly staying in hotels and going down. I've been to Cornwall 2 weekends out of the past 2, so I'm never at home. But I think you've spot on there. I think the lads buying in, and like I said, you can see the progression that we've made as that mentality's changed within our team, and I think that's only going to get more strong over the next season. Hopefully, I know we've obviously got a couple of lads already signed up for next year, and I'm hoping that we get the main ones signed up over the next couple of weeks, so we've got a strong core going into next season, and then looking to bring lads down. I've spoke to Neil. I think Neil wants most of the lads living down there or being around training as much as possible. But like I said, this is especially for Cornwall, it's a long term plan. I think he knows that. The general manager Beachy knows that. And all the commercial guys down there, they know that. I think over the next couple of years, what they want is just a stable team with roots in schools, getting the kids playing on the pitch, getting Cornish-based teams, more Cornish-based teams playing, getting schools playing, and once you've got that, like I said, that's what Keighley did, and look at them now, they're getting 2,000 average per week. So if they can do that, implement that, and then you build that attendance up, you'll be able to spend more money on your players, and then you can get promoted, and then you reset and do it all again at a better pace, and it's success.
The likes of Newcastle, the Cumbrian clubs, London, and now Cornwall, it is about attracting the right players who want to be part of it. And they're not just going because it's their only option, and they're not just going because there's a bit of extra money there. And that's what Beachy and Neil and everyone down there have made it clear to to companies like ourselves is they want players who are really excited to be part of it. You've been a great example of a success story, and on the back of that, they've been able to, and we've been able to say, look, this is a great place to be. And it is about the longer term and being excited about being part of something. Not to mention the fact you get to live in Cornwall, which is for some people a dream holiday destination. And I'm sure they'll get it right, and they'll get more players down there. And I've been speaking to them a lot over the last 6, 8, 12 weeks, and they're spending most of their week working on the logistics of getting players down for the weekend and dealing with the clubs they have relationships with. They've got a great relationship with Hull Care and Bradford, where they've been able to call on players. But before Beachy knows it, it's match day again, and then Monday we go again. Whereas next year, if we can get 8, 10 lads down there, they can start focusing more 100%. On other things, and say all the off-field foundations for laying. And with attendances, we mentioned just before we came on air, you're only second to Keighley in average attendance. You got 1,000 of a week. You got 800 at the weekend, and you're competing. You're not competing with football. I'm telling you, you're competing with people going to the beach
having barbecues.
It's 30 degrees.
I think the people of Cornwall have bought in, and all the fans there. It's been mental. I underestimated it. I think it would have been in May time. A couple of our lads went down bodyboarding on the beach. And we were speaking to a random bloke who was hiring the boards out, and he was talking. He was saying, "Oh, you lads are the Rugby League team. How's it all going?" And then another person, the security scanner at the airport, saw us with our hoodies on. He's like, "Oh, it's a Rugby League team," and you're just like, how do you know? Because you're not really used to that. But it seems to be talked about, and obviously with the weather being as nice as it is, there's obviously people, because it's so hot, people will be on the beach, and they'll be. They don't get that weather very often, so they'll be making the most of it. But I think just going back onto the lads moving down, I think what Cornwall can really target is maybe some lads who are coming out full time, or they're leaving the academies and they're wanting a bit of a different challenge. Because I think when you leave full time, I've never done it, but what I've seen is when you leave an academy or when you leave full time, there's normally 2 pathways you kind of go down. You either want to play in the lower leagues, the Championship League Ones, or you want to sort of get set up on your own and move out your parents' house, or move to a different part of the country and start working. I think Cornwall gives you the chance to do both. You've got the club really look after you. They'll sort everything out for you, whether it's a job, a house, whatever you need. They've got contacts. I know I take the mick out of one of the lads who moved down, Joe, because he's they've given him a job as a lifeguard in a pool that's 80 centimetres deep. So no one can drown in it, but he's got a lifeguard. He's got to be a lifeguard in it. But he loves it. He sits in the sauna all day, so he loves it down there anyway. But the club have sorted all the lads out with whatever they've needed. The houses are all sorted there for them. The job, like I said, the jobs. I think a couple of the missuses have moved down with them, and they've got jobs. So the club's sorted everything out for him, and that is off the back of being founded in November, December time, when most clubs had actually started pre-season by then and signed the players. We didn't have a ground in November. We didn't have a player. We didn't have a kit. We didn't have anything. And to have done that and then got those players moved down, like I said, sorted jobs. It's exciting to see what's going to be happen with a full pre-season, full time to work everything out.
And I think if we think back to when it was announced that the new club was Cornwall, it would be fair to say that the reception on the whole was quite negative. And for no other reason, and probably people thinking like, what's the point? They'll try, but it won't work. And even I certainly wasn't negative about it, but I was hesitant. I was unsure. You were the first person who spoke to me and said, I like the idea of that. And I've been on this journey with you, and it's led to 5, 6 other Show Me lads being part of it. And I was very much thinking, let's wait and see, let's see how it goes. And like that, they've done it so well. And we can't give enough credit to how they're doing it off the field. And these are still, Beachy's still got another job. They're not full time earning a load of money to throw everything into it. They're working hard and getting those little details right is what creates the environment, and that's what creates results on the pitch.
Yeah, exactly. The staff off the pitch have been unbelievable. I think, like you said, Beachy, the media guy, Gareth, he's one of the best media guys I've seen in Rugby League, whether that's Super League. The content he puts out and the consistency that he puts it out, I compare it to like Premier League football standard, what he's putting out.
Quality, isn't it?
On all the Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, anything, any platform, he's putting it out there. So they're doing everything right off the pitch. And like you said at the start of the year, I think most people, players, coaches, fans, were waiting just to see. Whereas now I think we're at the point where I'm getting people, I'd say on average about 2 players after every time I go down asking me for Neil's number to come down. And there's people who you play against, like I'm not going to say his name, but there was a big player who played for when Kiefer came down. He's like, I want to come down. Yeah. And all the lads were saying, I don't think we can afford you. It's to be fair from what you're on. But people are saying, like, people want to move it and people are interested in it now. Yeah. They've seen what it's like. Yeah. And that's why there's the Northern lads, that's why there's now 6 people on the plane instead of just me. Because they've seen that it works. They've seen that they're treating everyone right. That they're not overspending, but they're spending enough to get people interested. Yeah. So, and the opportunity to live in that part of the country and play rugby is exciting in itself. So it's a real draw. And I think, like I said, with academy lads just coming out or full-time lads just coming out, if you've want just a bit of a different experience in rugby league, because it is totally different than anything else within this country. Apart, obviously, moving to Australia, I'd put it as a step below that, because obviously moving there or to France, obviously it's a completely different environment. But moving down to Cornwall is very, very different. Everyone down there and the place down there is completely different to anything.
Yeah, we've got to give credit to the decision makers who got it right. We've got a lot of stick. Without tempting fate, I think it's plain seen such a short time to go from where they were to where they are now. Yeah. And it's clear that, from conversations I've had and what you've told me, they're not stalling. Their foot's on the gas, and we're looking next year. We've said that there's no reason, if it goes to plan and we get the recruitment right, that next year you can be competitive in pretty much every game. Yeah. And to be able to do that within for the second season. Yeah. We can't congratulate them enough, really. Yeah. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we're excited to see what next year holds, and even the end of this year. You could easily have a big part in that playoff battle. We talk about who's going to sneak into that last spot probably. Yeah. And there's no reason why you can't be a team that has a say and causes an upset along the way.
Yeah, I think we've got Oldham have got to come down to us, Swinton have got to come down, and North Wales have got to come down as well. So three of the teams battling from there have got to come down, and we've, like we said, against Hunslet, we nearly had them. We had them for periods of the game, and then it probably just pulled away in that second half. But now we're confident we can compete with the Northern teams. It's just about doing it for the full 80. It was a point where we hadn't competed at all for more than 60 minutes. Then the West Wales performance, we won. I think we did for 60 minutes there. We did what we'd planned to do, and now it's just about doing that against a Northern team and sticking with it.
And and that's, you hear that a lot across all part-time rugby, Championship and League One. There's been a couple of results over last week which have been the ultimate games of two halves. We had the Sheffield London one. Last weekend, the weekend before the one just gone, which broke records, and then yesterday you've got Oldham, I think, nearly 20 points clear at half time.
Yeah, 24-6,
something like that, and then they win the second half 44-0. Yeah, and again, Sheffield with Batley, you hear the coaches saying we did it for 60 minutes. It's about getting these lads, and it's not easy to. You put 80 minutes together, you'll win a game. Yeah. And it doesn't matter if you're at the bottom end of the table playing the top end. If you can do that, and it all links in with that quality of training and getting the right personnel together. But no, it's it's going to be an exciting time ahead. We're all excited about it. I love dealing with the club. I love speaking to them. I love speaking to the players about the club.
Yeah.
And yeah, let's see what the rest of the season holds.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting one.
And thanks for coming on and giving us a little insight.
No worries, mate.
We've not delved into the social side too much about nights out in Torquay and those things, but you don't even need to sell it on that.
No, a night out in Newquay is an interesting one. I said to a couple of lads, I think it's similar to Blackpool. So imagine going out in Blackpool every other weekend. It's you meet some interesting characters.
Yeah. If you see a few people Cornwall sign,
you'll
be looking at, are they there for the night out? Or are they there for the rugby?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great, and best of luck for the rest of the year.
Cheers, mate.